Today I am talking about some of the best recent games that are absolutely worth buying, so let's get into it. Clair Obscure Expedition 33. Alright, let's talk about a game that came out of nowhere and totally blew everyone's mind. Clair Obscure Expedition 33. Now, first off, yeah, the name sounds fancy, but don't let that scare you. This game is actually super cool. It's a story-based RPG, and it takes place in this artsy, kind of creepy version of France. The world looks like a painting, no joke, and everything feels super dramatic. So here's the setup. Every year, this mysterious woman called the Paintress shows up and paints a number. Whatever number she chooses, that's the age of people who are gonna straight up vanish. Like, poof, gone. If she picks 33, then everyone who's 33 just disappears forever. No one knows why. You play as a group called Expedition 33. Basically, you're trying to stop this from happening again. Because guess what? This year, it's your turn, and if you don't do something, you're toast. Now, let me tell you, the story is deep, it's emotional. There's this moment early in the game that seriously shocks you, like, wow. Not spoiling it, but it's the kind of thing that makes you sit there staring at your screen for a minute. The gameplay is turn-based, but not in a boring way. You still have to dodge, block, and do quick moves while it's not your turn, so it keeps things exciting. Every character plays differently too. One of them can switch styles mid-battle, and another one uses magical paint stuff to attack. It's super fun once you get the hang of it. And visually, man, this game is beautiful, like actually jaw-dropping. It's made in Unreal Engine 5, so everything looks super realistic and artsy at the same time. Even just walking around feels amazing. And the soundtrack, dude, it gives you chills. It matches the vibe perfectly, kinda sad, kind of epic. If you like story-heavy games with cool combat, emotional moments, and insane graphics, Clair Obscure Expedition 33 is so worth checking out. It's on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, and yep, it's even on Game Pass. So if you already have that, you got no excuse. Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Alright, if you're into the Yakuza series, you're gonna wanna hear about Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. This game is definitely a wild ride, and it's got a pretty big twist compared to the usual Yakuza games. So this time we're not playing as Ichiban, instead we're back with Goro Majima. Yeah, the crazy, unpredictable guy who's been around in the Yakuza games for a while. In this one, Majima wakes up on a tropical island, and the twist? He has no memory of anything that happened before. He's basically stuck there, but he meets this local kid named Noah, who's trying to find a treasure. Naturally, Majima ends up joining him on this adventure, and things go off the rails real quick. Majima doesn't just sit back and relax though, he starts putting together a pirate crew and gets involved in all kinds of crazy battles. It's a mix of treasure hunting, Yakuza drama, and pirate stuff, so you can imagine it's pretty over the top and fun. The plot has that typical Yakuza charm, but it's got a lot of new stuff like pirates and treasure hunting that make it stand out. Now, if you're wondering about the gameplay, it's a big change from what you've seen in Like a Dragon or other Yakuza games. This one ditches the turn-based combat and goes with real-time fighting. You can fight on land and at sea, and you'll also have pirate ship battles. Yep, you get to control ships and go at it with other pirates. Majima has two fighting styles here. There's the classic Mad Dog style, which you've probably seen if you've played other Yakuza games, but there's also a new Sea Dog style that's made for all the pirate stuff. You get to use different moves and weapons depending on which style you pick. The combat's faster paced, and it's a lot of fun since you can move around freely and throw objects at enemies. Plus, the special attacks are straight up hilarious. If you like games that mix humor, action, and a good story, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is totally worth playing. The gameplay is fresh, Majima is as chaotic as ever, and it keeps that Yakuza weirdness alive. Plus, the mix of pirate adventure and Yakuza crime drama is just different enough to keep things interesting.
Pain in the ass.
Doom, The Dark Ages. If you love Doom, then you gotta try Doom, The Dark Ages. It's out now and it's exactly what fans have been waiting for. This time, the game takes us to a medieval world instead of the usual futuristic setting, but it still has all the Doom craziness we love. One of the coolest new features is the shield. Yeah, you can actually block and parry attacks now. It makes the fights even more fun and adds a little strategy to the usual chaos. They also added a new weapon called the Shield Saw. It's a melee weapon that lets you slice through enemies and deflect attacks. Plus you get to ride a cybernetic dragon called Sirat, which adds some cool aerial combat and lets you explore the world in a whole new way. The combat is just as fast and brutal as you'd expect from Doom. You'll fight through 22 levels full of demons using your guns, melee weapons, and the shield to take them down. The new shield mechanic makes things more interesting. You can block incoming attacks and even counterattack if you time it right. The enemies are tougher, so you'll have to stay on your toes. If you're someone who loves fast-paced action and single-player games, this one's for you. The game also looks amazing. The visuals are better than ever, with an awesome medieval style that fits the Doom world. And of course, the soundtrack is all metal and will get you pumped for every battle. It's a perfect fit for the game's intense action. Split Fiction. This game is made by the same people who made It Takes Two and A Way Out. If you played those, you already know. They're really good at making co-op games, and Split Fiction is another great one. This game is made for 2 players. You can play it with someone next to you on the couch or online. You only need 1 copy of the game too, thanks to something called the Friend Pass. That means if your friend doesn't have the game, they can still play with you for free. Super cool. You play as 2 characters, Mio and Zoe. They're both writers. Mio writes science fiction and Zoe writes fantasy, but something weird happens and they both get pulled into their own stories. Now they're stuck inside a crazy world full of stuff from both of their books, so it's a big mix of sci-fi and fantasy. You'll see dragons, robots, flying cars, magic. It's all in there. The game is really fun because every level feels new. One part you're flying on dragons, another part you're rolling around like little robot balls. The game keeps switching things up so it never gets boring. There are also side stories in the game. These are based on old ideas Mio and Zoe wrote a long time ago but never finished. You get to play through those too, which makes the game even more fun and surprising. The characters also talk to each other a lot during the game. They argue, they laugh, and you get to see their friendship grow. It makes the story more interesting and gives the game a nice personal feel. The game looks great too. The art is colorful, the levels are super creative, and the animation is smooth. The music is nice and the voice acting is really good. It just feels like a lot of care went into making it. So yeah, basically if you want a good and really fun co-op game, this is it.
You have unpaid parking tickets. Time to die.
Excuse me?
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. You play as Indiana Jones, obviously, and the game takes place between the first and third movies. So Indy's still in his prime, cracking whips, solving puzzles, punching Nazis, all that good stuff, and yeah, the story totally feels like one of the old school movies. It kicks off when someone steals an ancient artifact, and Indy's like, nope, not on my watch. From there, he gets pulled into this huge mystery involving something called the Great Circle, a bunch of ancient sites around the world that are somehow all connected. Super classic indie stuff. Gameplay here is, it's a mix. Most of it's first person, so it feels kind of like you are Indiana Jones, but sometimes it switches to third person, like when you're climbing or using the whip. It's awesome. You use it to swing, grab stuff, distract enemies, even during fights, and yeah, there's some solid stealth and puzzle stuff too. You're not just shooting and fighting all the time, you'll be figuring out how to open doors, move statues, or line up old symbols, kind of like Tomb Raider or Uncharted, but with way more indie flavor. You also get to travel around the world. Like seriously, one minute you're sneaking around the Vatican, next you're deep in the jungle, then you're in Egypt exploring pyramids. It feels like you're always going somewhere new, which keeps things fresh. And man, the vibe is like, it's really spot on. The music hits that classic indie feeling, the writing's fun, and the whole game feels like it really respects the character. Troy Baker voices Indy here, and honestly, he does a pretty great job. It doesn't feel like a cheap copy, he really nails it. Also, small detail, if you die in the game, Indy's hat falls off, and when you respawn, you can pick it back up and put it on. It's silly, but kinda perfect. So if you like exploring tombs, solving ancient mysteries, and being a total badass with a whip, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is absolutely worth checking out.
Fammi vedere che sai fare.
Let's duke it out.
Ti vedo!
Put along.
Impegnati!
Learn some manners.
Silent Hill 2 Remake. Man, it's still one of the creepiest and saddest games out there. If you never played the original, don't worry. This remake is a full-on modern version, so you can jump right in. You play as James Sunderland, a regular dude who gets a letter from his wife, Mary. Thing is, she died years ago, but the letter says she's waiting for him in this weird, foggy town called Silent Hill. So yeah, he goes there. Not a great idea, obviously. And from the moment he shows up, things feel off. The whole town's just dead quiet, full of fog, and something's always lurking in the shadows. The more James explores, the weirder and more disturbing everything gets. But at the same time, it's emotional too. The game isn't just trying to scare you. It actually makes you think and feel stuff. The remake looks amazing. Like seriously, the fog, the lighting, the monsters, it all looks way more real and way more terrifying. They didn't just slap on better graphics though. They really reworked the whole experience. The camera now follows over James's shoulder, kind of like the newer Resident Evil games. It feels more immersive, and it helps you really feel like you're there in the town with him. The sound is another huge part. You'll hear creepy noises when nothing's around. The music is haunting and weird in the best way. And the monsters, still super messed up. Pyramid Head, yeah, he's back, and just as terrifying as ever. The gameplay is still kind of slow and heavy, just like the original. Some folks might think the combat feels a bit stiff, but honestly, that kind of fits the game. James isn't a superhero. He's just a normal guy dealing with a ton of emotional stuff and literal nightmares. The controls just help sell that. If you've played the original, you'll notice they didn't mess with the story too much, and that's a good thing. This is one of those rare games where the story really sticks with you. It's deep, weird, sad, and kind of beautiful in a twisted way. So yeah, Silent Hill 2 Remake isn't just a horror game, it's a psychological gut punch wrapped in fog and trauma. If you're into story-driven games that also mess with your head and give you chills, this one's 100% worth it. Astrobot. If you've got a PS5 and you just want to play something that feels good, looks great, and makes you smile the whole time, Astrobot is your game. This new Astrobot isn't just another tech demo like Astro's Playroom was, it's a full game now. Big levels, tons of cool places to explore, and that same happy vibe that makes you feel like a kid again. The whole thing is just packed with creativity. You're playing as this tiny robot named Astro, and your job is to rescue your little robot buddies across all kinds of wild levels. We're talking beaches, jungles, space stuff, crazy floating cities. Even inside an hourglass, it's all super colorful, really smooth to play, and there's always something surprising around the corner. There are like 80 levels, and each one feels different. Some are more action, some are puzzly, and some are just chill and fun. Astro gets all kinds of cool powers too. Jetpacks, spring legs, even a dog that acts like a living spaceship. And if you're into PlayStation history, this game is full of little nods and Easter eggs. You'll spot characters and stuff from old games like Last of Us, God of War, Uncharted, Ratchet & Clank, and way more. It's kind of like a big celebration of everything PlayStation. The controls feel amazing thanks to the DualSense controller. You really feel every jump, slide, and hit because of the vibrations and triggers. It's not just a gimmick, it actually makes the game feel better. Warhammer 40k SpaceMarine 2. Warhammer 40,000 SpaceMarine 2 brings you back to the battlefield as Lieutenant Titus, a genetically enhanced super soldier in the Ultramarines. You're still fighting for the Emperor, but this time you're up against the relentless Tyranid swarm and the brutal Chaos Space Marines. The whole game is about giving you that feeling of being a total badass while you carve through enemies in the Warhammer universe. The combat here is exactly what you'd want: fast, brutal, and satisfying. You've got a chainsword for close combat and a bolt pistol for picking off enemies from a distance, and let me tell you, slicing through enemies with that chainsword feels so good. Every time you land a hit or execute an enemy in a brutal finish, you really feel it. It's intense, it's gritty, and it's a whole lot of fun. Visually, the game nails the Warhammer 40k aesthetic. The dark, grim feel of the universe comes across perfectly. The environments are huge and full of details that really bring the Warhammer world to life. The Tyranids look terrifying, and fighting them feels just as intense as it should. This This game is all about making you feel like you're in the middle of a war zone, facing off against some of the most ruthless enemies out there. It's not just about fighting either. The story pulls you right into this war-torn universe, making you feel like every battle counts, every mission you take on, every fight you survive, it all adds up to something bigger. If you're into action-packed games where you can just let loose and enjoy being an unstoppable force, SpaceMarine 2 has everything you're looking for. It's a ride from start to finish, brutal, fast, and totally satisfying.
Another alien falls to the Imperial.
Black Myth Wukong. Here, you step into the shoes of Sun Wukong, the legendary Monkey King. You're on a quest to collect 6 powerful relics tied to your senses. As you journey through this gorgeous world, you'll face some seriously tough enemies, explore mysterious landscapes, and uncover a ton of secrets about Wukong's past and the world around him. The combat in this game is seriously fun. You've got a magical staff that you'll be using to destroy enemies left and right. The coolest part is how you can switch between 3 combat stances: Smash, Thrust, and Pillar. Each one has its own vibe, so you can mix up how you take on enemies, whether you're going for hard-hitting attacks or quick strikes. But what really sets the combat apart are Wukong's magical abilities. You can freeze time, transform into animals, and even use spirit powers to change the course of battles. It's not just about brute strength, there's a lot of strategy involved, and every fight feels different. The world you're exploring is absolutely stunning. Powered by Unreal Engine 5, the game looks incredible. Every environment, from lush forests to ancient temples, is packed with detail. The atmosphere is rich and immersive, pulling you deeper into the story. And the monsters you face? They're wild. From massive, terrifying beasts to more sneaky, dangerous creatures, the game keeps you on your toes, constantly throwing new and intimidating threats your way. But it's not just about slashing through enemies, there's a ton of depth to the story. As you collect relics, you'll uncover more about Wukong's journey, his powers, and the fate he's been dealt. It's got that classic mythological feel, but also a personal, emotional side as you dive into Wukong's struggles with destiny. The deeper you go, the more complex the story becomes, and it'll keep you wanting to know what happens next. Black Myth Wukong is one of those games that feels like a true adventure. It combines epic, fast-paced combat with an engaging story and stunning visuals, making it something you'll want to keep coming back to. Whether you're a fan of Journey to the West or just love mythological stories with a twist, this game has everything you could want: magic, monsters, and a hero you can root for. Still Wakes the Deep. If you're a fan of survival horror and love the idea of being trapped in an isolated place with something creepy hunting you, Still Wakes the Deep is a game you need to check out. Set on an oil rig in the North Sea in 1975, this game has everything that makes horror so chilling. Claustrophobic spaces, isolation, and a lurking terror that keeps you on your toes. You play as Cameron Kaz McLeary, an electrician on the Vera D oil rig. At the start of the game, something goes horribly wrong. A huge disaster strikes, leaving the rig damaged and flooding. Worse, communication with the outside world is completely cut off, so you're left with no way to ask for help. The rig itself is falling apart, and to make things worse, there's something terrifying stalking the corridors. Kaz has to figure out how to survive and escape before it's too late. What makes Still Wakes the Deep stand out is how it focuses on stealth and environmental storytelling instead of traditional combat. You're not going around shooting things. Instead, you have to stay quiet, sneak around, and use your surroundings to avoid the creature that's after you. You'll solve puzzles to get through flooded areas, use your electrical skills to fix things, and figure out ways to hide from danger. It's all about using your brain to survive and outsmart whatever's hunting you. The game doesn't have a HUD, so it relies on visuals and sound to guide you. This adds to the immersion and makes every creak of the rig or splash of water feel way more intense. It's the kind of game where you'll feel the tension rising with every step, and you're never quite sure what's going to happen next. The atmosphere is hands down the highlight of the game. The Vera D rig feels incredibly real. You'll walk through dark, narrow hallways, flooded rooms, and places where the walls are starting to buckle under the pressure. The stormy sea outside and the rig's constant creaking only add to the sense of dread. The sound design is fantastic too. The quiet moments are nerve-wracking because you're always waiting for something to happen, and when the creature finally makes its presence known, it's terrifying. One thing that makes this game extra creepy is how isolated you feel. It's just you on this massive rig, and that loneliness adds a lot to the horror. You're constantly aware of the fact that there's no way to escape, no way to call for help, and then there's the creature hunting you, unseen, unpredictable, and way more terrifying than anything you could prepare for. Plagues the Deep is all about building tension and creating an experience that feels more real and unnerving than a lot of other horror games out there. It doesn't rely on jump scares. Instead, it plays with your mind and keeps you on edge through every moment. If you like survival horror games that focus more on atmosphere and emotional impact, then this one's for you.
Right! Hold on! Christ, no! Jesus!
We should go back and get them!
Like hell we should! You saw them! They're gone! Get a move on! Archie! Remake!
We have to give them more time!